Welcome back, you guys, to part two. We are going to be just jumping right in here. I want you to get your stuff set up for the new row and pick up one small diamond cut brass bead. And then you're going to pick up four of the smoke gray and then one diamond cut brass bead. And then you're going to pick up five smoke gray. And then one diamond cut brass bead. These beads are all a little bit different sizes, and I realized because of the dimension of the circle, it doesn't fit if you just have one equal number. It ends up being too large or too small. So I did every other one was four sets of gray beads, and then the other sets were five. So do four sets of gray beads, five sets of gray beads, four sets of gray beads, five sets of gray beads, all the way around that row until you complete your circle. And yours might be a little bit different than mine, so you might have to take one of the five off of one of the rows of five, or else you might have to add one to one of the rows of four. It just depends. But this is what worked for me. So most of my beadwork, because I don't use the set, like unless it's the Delica beads when I do like the fringy earrings and stuff. I work with a lot of unique shaped beads, so some you just have to work with them and just learn how to just adapt to whatever size you're given. So yeah, do four gray beads and then five, four and five, and then four and five until you complete the row. And then just put your needle through that first brass bead and poke down so that you can check and make sure that everything is tacked in. That looks like it's laying flush and perfect. And now I'm just gonna just tack it in just like normal. Um, so yeah, you guys get that row done, tack them down, and then I will see you in the next step. Okay, so now we are going to begin the second step, or the second row in this new chapter, and we're going to start adding the large section of the stars. So what I want you to do is find your first brass bead, and as you can see me doing right here, you want to go up about a bead's length to the right of that brass bead that you choose to start on. And you want to pick up one brass bead, one iridescent bead, and then one more brass bead. And I want you to lay it down there and make sure that it's laying to where it makes a perfect triangle with the original brass bead being in the center, the iridescent one right on top of that, and then the two brass beads on the left and the right. After you figure if it lays correctly, you're going to pick up between, depending on which section you're in, for the previous, how we were doing the four and the five, it should be about two beads or three beads. So you're going to pick up, do your little star, and then pick up two to three gray beads, lay it down and make sure that it's the right width, and then pick up brass, iridescent, and brass. And then keep doing that throughout the whole circle until you get all of the widest parts of the stars complete. And yeah, for this part, you don't want to just pick them all up at once and think that they're all going to be good, because they probably won't be. You have to make sure that those gray beads are the perfect amount in between each star so that they just line up beautifully. So just take your time on this, and I will see you in the next section. Oh, and also remember to tack it down. All right, so for the next row, as you can see here, I am switching out my string. Basically, anytime you want to switch out your string, just make sure that you wax it and you insert it exactly how you did in the beginning. So for this next row, I am choosing to insert the needle basically on the right side above the iridescent bead, whichever one you choose to start with. Because you're going to pick up your first small diamond cut brass bead and you want to make sure that it's lined up directly above that iridescent one to complete each star. So once you do that first one, then you're going to pick up the gray beads and you're going to do as many as you need to do in order to make it to where when you line up your next diamond cut brass bead, it is directly above that iridescent one for that particular star. And it's going to vary based on each space, because remember when we started we did 4 and 5 beads in between. So just take it one step at a time and then just slowly string those on. And once you get your circle complete, then just stitch it in place and tack it down, and I will see you at the next step. So as you can see here, I have all of my brass beads strung on and my gray beads, and I am just making sure that everything is lined up before I tack everything down. And thank goodness it actually looks really good. So I'm just going to begin tacking it down now. If you do have a gray bead that you need to remove, a way that you can do this is you take your wire cutters and separate the gray bead, like loosen the string up so that you can kind of separate the gray bead by itself that you need to remove. And then take your wire cutters, and what you do is you pinch the bead together on the side with the holes. You don't clamp it with the wire cutters on like the regular smooth round bead side. You make sure and do it where the holes are, and then you should be able to have a clean cut off the string, and it should not damage the string. If you end up making a mistake and damaging the string, it's not a big deal. It's just a little bit frustrating, but just pull that string out to the back side of the pellon, tie a knot, secure it, and then just begin your beading from that spot again, and then you just start over. But yes, that is one thing that you can do to quickly remove a bead, or else if you want to just be safe, you can just take the needle off the string, pull all the beads off until you find the one that you need to take off, and then just restring them. So either way totally works. But yeah, I will see you at the next step here. All right, so we are on to the next row. The final row. Are you guys excited? You finally finished the first rosette. So now you just have one more to do. And you could either do it later or now. Either way is fine. But yeah, this last row, all you're doing is picking up the solid gray beads again. So just pick up as many solid gray beads as you need to fulfill the rosette and tack them down. But this time, if you've been kind of lax on where you're placing your needle when you're coming up and over to tack down the beads, you need to be very careful to not put your string outside of the space of where the beads are laying. So when you're tacking it down, you want to make sure that you're really almost going underneath that outside layer, because when you clip with the scissors, the next step is going to be trimming the the circle with the scissors. And you want to, it's so frustrating when you accidentally clip the string that you've been working with. So just make sure that you're really underneath that row when you're pushing your needle up, so that you can minimize the risk of cutting a string when you are cutting the rosette off of the pellon. So just fill those gray beads onto that last row, tack it down, and then once again, I will see you at the next clip. I hope that this isn't rushing it too much for you guys. I just don't want to waste a bunch of like make it a really long video of you guys watching me slowly do the process, because I'm pretty sure you guys have picked it up by this point. So right now I'm just kind of giving you direction on which row is next. So I will see you here in just a second. Okay, so I just want you to see here how I'm coming up. You see how, watch my needle. You see how I'm kind of underneath the string and then pulling it up and then tacking it down. That's what you want to do. You do not want to be on the outside, like just coming up on the white pellon. You want to make sure that you're kind of angling your needle out, and that you're kind of starting underneath that last row, if that makes any sense, just so that it makes the trimming part a lot easier. All right, I will see you at the next step. Okay, so we're going to tack down. I have just finished doing the outside, and I was kind of just checking with my finger to make sure that there's nothing that was missing on that last row. And now I just kind of go through and I see if there's any beads that look like they're sticking up, and I just re-tack them down just anywhere else on the project. Flip it over, tie a knot, snip it off, snip the string off, and now you're just going to cut that circle so that it is removed from the pellon. And I like to keep my scissors very straight. I don't come in at an angle or anything. I make sure that they're pretty straight so that I have no risk of cutting my beadwork, because that is just so frustrating when you do that and then you have an awkwardly shaped circle and it's just not fun. So just be careful and take your time on this part. Okay, so there we go. The circle is off and it's time to glue. Okay, you guys, I'm going to talk really quick on this part because I don't have a lot of video left to record, like my voiceover on. So you need to take your glue, just undo it so that the foil's punched out. There's like a little sharp thing on the top cap. So just take that plastic cap off and then the other cap, and you'll see the foil, just punch it through to get the glue. Use a small amount of glue. You don't need a ton. And then you're going to take a piece of pellon and you're going to spread it around, avoiding the edges. This will make your edge work so much easier. So once you get that nice coating of glue on, you're just going to put place it down on the rough side of the leather and then cover it with a weighted object for 20 to 30 minutes. There's only enough glue for the exact amount that you need for the project, so just use it sparingly. But if you want to get more glue, you can do Aleene's. It's at Hobby Lobby. I also love the E6000 for rosettes. So if you have E6000 at your house, use those. But just glue them on, and I'll see you at part 3.